Welcome in on Hump Day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Three Man Weave college basketball show hosted by sportsbookreview.com. Welcome to the show. We are going to be talking games. We're going to be giving out picks. But before we do, please hit the like button on the video. It really helps us out if you are enjoying it. Takes you no time at all. Just a quick tap of the like is great for us. And then also subscribe to the channel. That's also huge for both us and SBR as a whole. We appreciate any help you can give us there. And we all already see the chat is up and firing today.
Yeah,
Matt, you are the chat czar today. Are you going to be able to keep that mob under control?
Yeah, it's back in my rightful role in this organization. So yeah, they're fine this morning, Jim. They're hungry for winners, and let's cross our fingers we'll actually provide some today.
It's great because you don't have to follow the outline if you're doing the chat. That's great.
Yeah, the outline's too difficult. It's like too much in a row. It's too linear for me. I'm not a big fan of the outline as we've come to know.
Guys, I'm going to hog the mic and start on takeaways here, just because I am so sad. It's the hope that kills you. Purdue gets up 18 at halftime and just loses the lead throughout the entire second half. It was like death by 1,000 paper cuts, as Matt sometimes says. Just a basket here, basket there. The offense is playing kind of keep away and prevent offense, and it leads to a last 5-minute loss. A huge bummer for a team that looked fantastic in the first half.
Yeah, it made no sense, Jim. I only watched it a little bit at the end of this game, but you said it right, nail on the head. Teams that just kind of cower in the fetal position at the end instead of just playing the game that got them up to a large lead, this always comes back to mind. We've seen this over and over in big, high-pressure spots. So to see Purdue do this was very concerning.
Yeah. Kai, any takeaways from last night?
Yeah, Jim, it's actually a good segue because my takeaway was Big Ten smashed yesterday except Purdue. And Purdue, for a while, looked like they were going to too. But you had Iowa, Illinois, Penn State, Rutgers, Ohio State kind of squeaked by. But for the most part, the Big Ten looked awesome yesterday and certainly kind of showing us a little bit wrong from our preseason prognostications, not the word I'm looking for there, about them not being as strong as maybe most people thought. But after watching those games yesterday, I think the Big Ten it is actually for real, and there's certainly a couple top 10 teams in there.
Yeah, I think it was 6-1 in the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and they lose out on the Louisville-Wisconsin matchup. And unfortunately, the marquee matchup of tonight, Michigan State-Virginia, also canceled late last night. We don't get the Hauser brothers showdown. That's a huge bummer. Those two are probably going to guard each other, at least for some stretches of that game. So we unfortunately have to skip over that one. We'll move straight down on the outline to Indiana at Florida State. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but this is actually a rematch of last season. Indiana kind of took the Seminoles to the woodshed in Bloomington.
Yeah, they did.
80-62. Matthew, your Indiana Hoosiers, your alma mater, are they able to go down to Tallahassee here and get a 2-0 sweep of Leonard Hamilton?
I'm a little concerned just because of the status of Al Durham, who I believe is still a game-time decision with an ankle injury. Again, Chatmont, we will be holding you, putting your feet to the fire to keep us up to date on all injury news. So we're going to put you to work. So please check me if I'm off on there. But he's such an important piece, Jim, because he's really emerged for the Hoosiers as a reliable perimeter scoring option. We saw against Texas, Indiana be exposed when they try and go too much through Trace Jackson Davis. Florida State, while obviously long as they always are, they're not really even in the same stratosphere as Texas's length. But I still think they present some problems if Indiana can't have some inside-out scoring balance, and Durham is such a key to that. The other guards have been fine, but I think Durham's really been the offensive. He's buoyed the offense from a perimeter perspective. Kai, where do you stand here?
Yeah, I agree. Durham's health is huge. He's probably the guy you'd choose to check Scotty Barnes on Florida State's team. An incredible 6'7" point guard. Yeah. FSU is the biggest team in the country this year, so they can put up some resistance to Trace Jackson Davis, to Race Thompson. Joey Brunk still out for Indiana. Probably would have been actually helpful in this game. And then Indiana's just not strong on the glass, and Florida State could really take advantage here. This game got up to, I think, 3.5. I'm leaning Florida State from a matchup perspective. The line's just a little bit too high for me to commit my money to currently.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, Kai. I can't quite commit to Florida State, but I think the right side did get bet on this one. And look, Indiana kind of has struggled with athleticism, like you saw against Texas, as Matt mentioned. So Florida State with a little maybe a chip on their shoulder. They do lose, some key guys from last season, so it's not going to be, it's not the exact same team looking for revenge. But I think maybe there is some angle of that where they're not real thrilled that they got smacked around by Indiana last year. So I would lean towards the Noles. All right, let's move on. Maryland at Clemson, another ACC Big Ten Challenge game. Two teams, guys, that have been sneaky awesome to start the year. I'm not sure if you realize this, guys. Maryland is first in the entire country in effective field goal percentage. Every shot they have thrown up so far has gone in, both inside and out. And Clemson, on the other hand, is 13th in defensive effective field goal percentage. So this is a massive showdown of strength on strength. Ky, which one do you see prevailing in this one?
Yeah, like you said, strength for strength. Perhaps surprisingly so. I think both teams maybe were supposed to be a little bit down this year. Clemson maybe a little up, but Maryland certainly was supposed to be down. And Clemson, Jim, top 10 team in the country defensively currently per KenPom. Maryland's offense is a walking fireball right now. It's going to be a really interesting game. The spread's pretty small here. I think it's Clemson -1.5 last time I checked. The other end of the floor, I think, is where it's going to we're going to see the difference maker in this game. Clemson's offense, not great. I don't think it's better than Maryland's defense, relatively speaking. I'm going to actually go with the Terps here as a lean. I think they're the better team so far, and I'm not totally concerned with the home court that Clemson has to offer in this game.
Yeah, so I see Dom the Don making a very astute point in the chat here. Maryland, sort of like NC State, hasn't played a great schedule yet. They've just been very effectively trouncing inferior teams, which
they took care of our St. Peter's squad, man.
God, the Peacocks got ran out of the gym there. But I think when you stack up against a pretty, when you take that step up in competition for the first time, I'm expecting to see Maryland hit some road bumps here. But honestly, Maryland 3-0 against the spread this season. We talked about it in years past. Another example of a team that loses their best player, best two players, and comes out undervalued to start the next year. Clemson actually 3-1 against the number as well. So this is a match with two teams that are playing well relative to their betting value in the markets. I actually like the under if I have to pick a side here. I think Clemson dictates the tempo a little more. I think they defend. Maryland has not seen a defensive team like Clemson this season. So, Jim?
Yeah, under is where I lean here. I'm a little gun shy on unders after Ohio State and Syracuse Rutgers just flew over the total yesterday in my other pick. So I'm not actually going to make an official play, but that would be my lean if I had to do something here as well. I don't think the Maryland offense is quite sustainable to the level that it's at right now. It'll be a good offense, but not quite where it's at. All right, that's we've got other ACC Big Ten Challenge matchups, but we're gonna not hit those on the main outline. Chat, if there are ones you want to hear from, hear about, just let us know, and we will hit those probably after the Northern Iowa Richmond game. We'll take a chat pause here, but let's go to Cincinnati, Oklahoma at Xavier. A Xavier coming off the crosstown shootout victory against the Bearcats, a big emotional win, and Oklahoma coming off a road conference win at TCU. So kind of a difficult spot for both teams. I mean, how do you look at this one and get as hyped as your previous game? It doesn't mean quite as much for either team. Matt, I'll start with you. You've been beating the Boomer Sooner drum kind of all offseason, especially since Mo Gibson got his waiver.
Yep.
Is that where you're leaning here?
Yeah, Xavier coming off the crosstown emotional win. We'll talk about Cincinnati later in the outline here, but neither Xavier since he really impressed me that much. I walked away from that game sour on both squads, to be honest. Oklahoma with a little bit of a choppy start. I thought they'd take care of TCU. I think Ky had the right side on that one. So I think OU bounces back. I think this is a good spot for them. Austin Reeves, my only concern is that he continues to play like Trae Young sometimes. He hogs the ball a lot, and I feel like the offense kind of stagnates. It's kind of staying around and watch Austin do stuff, and he's a great player. He's not Trae Young, though. So I'd like to see him be a little more democratic, get other guys involved, but I still trust Lon Kruger. I like the Sooners here. Ky?
Yeah. Austin Reeves, I think, is one of the highest used players in the country so far this season. Obviously, very early in the year.
He ain't bashful,
and
for sure.
Oklahoma needed him to go Super Saiyan against TCU just to get a push. So you're right. I am a little sore about the Horned Frogs, Matt, because that was the right side. But Xavier, 6-0 this year. I think they've played more games than anybody in the country, at least very close to it. The key for them in this game, they're getting Colby Jones and Adam Kunkel available for them. They were available a little bit last game, didn't play very much. I think just kind of working them in. But Adam Kunkel, especially a transfer from Belmont, is a huge addition to this team that was already scorching the nets from deep. He just adds more and more shooting. It's kind of a toss-up in my book in terms of matchup perspective. I think OU is the better team, but it's kind of hard to peg what Xavier we're getting in this game. They've had some good efforts. They've had some head scratchers. It's a true stay away from me, even though I think Oklahoma is the better basketball squad this year.
Yeah, I'm staying away too. I do lean Oklahoma with you. I think your Colby Jones point also is an astute one. There's some whispers from the Xavier camp that he might have started if he hadn't been ruled out due to contact tracing for a little while. And he's supposed to be just a phenomenal defender. You throw him on Austin Reeves with his length, he can kind of take out the key part of the Sooner offense. Then it becomes really disjointed. So I would lean under again, but it's still gun shy in making those official picks. But I think maybe you get a little bit of a sleepy effort, not as up and down as maybe sometimes these two teams would play. So under potentially some value there. All right, let's go to Northern Iowa, headed on the road to Richmond. Richmond, a team that just played a Monday game during the day against Wofford, barely hung on in that one. And Northern Iowa, on the other hand, really smarting right now. They're hurting. Antoine Kimmons has taken a personal leave of absence from the team. And even more importantly, AJ Green definitely out in this one with a hip injury. He is the primary source of their offense. Kai, talk to me about the Purple Panthers here. How much trouble are they in headed on the road to face the Spiders?
They're in trouble. I'm curious to see how much AJ Green is actually worth. He could be worth 10 points. He is by far the best player. Most importantly, he's basically their offense. This is a team that's struggled offensively, even past couple of years without AJ Green kind of doing everything for them. So that concerns me, especially against a Richmond defense that's actually very, very good. They were awesome last year. Kind of let Wofford hang around for a while, but that's a well-coached team in Wofford down there, even with the shorthandedness they had. And Richmond's offense is beautiful, guys. If you haven't watched Richmond play yet, please do. They run the Princeton offense. It's wonderful to watch. KO and Burton, two guys really emerging for them this year alongside Gilliard and Golden. I have to lean the Spiders in this one. You know, Northern Iowa is scrappy enough to keep it close, so I'm kind of hesitant to take it at the spread where it's at right now. But my real play here is the under. That's going to be my official play in this game. 145, I believe, is where the under's at right now. I'm sure the chat mob will correct me.
It has moved like crazy. This number's gone up, back or down, back up a little bit, and then now like hammered back down. So
okay, where's it at?
We'll let. I don't know. I see
chat mob. Tell me.
I see 143.5 one place. I see 145 at another. I see 141.5 at another. Like it is all over.
Oh wow! I see no 141, but if you have that line, I would stay away or shop somewhere else. Folks, again, use ESPN odds page to shop. Have to.
Let's do this. If you have 145, I'd say that's a play for an under.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. That's the concern. I mean, the spread also, I think it got bet up from 8 and is now back down to 8. So maybe there is a little bit of buyback for you and I. People not totally buying that Green is worth 5 or 6 points, but I kind of think he is. I like Bowen Bourne, the freshman that is probably AJ Green's heir apparent, but it's a little early for him to take over that role. And Burhow's kind of more of a wings. I just don't know how they really adapt, and defending that Richmond offense is just so difficult if you don't have a lot of prep time. All right, Matt, let's hit the chat. I'm sure there's a lot being discussed in there right now. What kind of games do we want to hit first?
Well, my guy Matty Jensen has a little twofer for us. I'll start with Mizzou Liberty. Get your guys' juices flowing here with a hometown pick. Where do you stand here with the Tigers Flames?
I like the under would be my lean. Mizzou's shooting feels a little bit unsustainable to me so far this year, and Liberty's pack line is going to be really tough for them. Liberty likes to slow it down, and I think Liberty struggles to score against Mizzou's defense, which has blown me away early on. I thought they'd be a good defensive team. They are kind of a great defensive team right now.
Yes.
Kai, I'll let you talk Tigers too.
Liberty feels like a team that can keep Mizzou close in this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout or a double-digit win for the Tigers. I think Mizzou's going to win because, Jim, their defense, like you said, is awesome, and I'm very excited about it as a Mizzou alumni. But I think Liberty can keep it close. So it's a stay away from me, but if you had to choose one side or the other, I would lean the Flames.
Matt's second of his twofer, BYU Boise. Kai, I'll go to you here. I believe you agree with me on a total lean. BYU, the offense just isn't quite as prolific as it has been in the past. I think they are the roster is tilted toward wing and forwards, and they don't have those 3-4 dynamic guards that can shoot it from wherever and make plays and get in the crease of the defense. I think Alex Barcelo needs some help there. Where do you stand on this side and or total?
This side's gotten pretty up there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like close to double digits. Am I right?
BYU Boise is 4.5, 5.
Yeah, 4.5.
Sorry, I've seen different game. At that number, I'm leaning BYU. I know Boise State is a very good Mountain West team this year, but I just think BYU can cover it. I don't have a whole lot of takes in this game. Matt, I kind of actually forgot what total I was on. This game was kind of a blind spot for me.
I think me and you both like the over. I just think the numbers got bet down a little too much, and it just seems like some of these non-conference games are still playing better for overs, while as we get into conference season, the unders seem to be dragging down that mean, I guess. Next one here, Dominic, Eastern Illinois, Evansville, kind of an off the beaten path mid-major matchup. I feel like Eastern Illinois has got a lot of play on this program so far. They played a lot of big boys early. Jim, I'll go to you first. Any strong take here in the battle of the Midwest states?
Kai and I have a head-to-head here. I am on the under. Kai's on the over. In Kai's defense, he has been on the right side of the number. It has been bet up a little bit, been up a decent amount. So we're squaring off right around the number 130. I'm under. He's over. So folks, if you've seen the records, you might want to go with the over. I have been struggling on total, so go with Kai.
Well, the show record hasn't been great, but Jim, let me just clarify that the over only works if Eastern Illinois just dominates, because Evansville is not scoring very many points. I don't see how you can confidently take Evansville with any amount of points. So I would lean EIU in this game from a side perspective.
Yeah, Evansville's been not inspiring. I'll just say that. Let's go two more here. Mark Holmes, Nebraska, Georgia Tech. Kyle, go to you for this one. Georgia Tech coming off that, I would call it monumental win, but with an asterisk next to it, given Kentucky's sort of trials and tribulations that they're going through right now. Do we see a letdown as they take on the Skurs?
I lean Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech against Kentucky is closer to the Georgia Tech I more or less expected versus the Georgia Tech that lost to Mercer and Georgia State. It's an experienced team. They're physical. They have two great guards in DeVoe and Alvarado. Moses Wright inside is becoming like a superstar for them. So I do lean Georgia Tech. However, as we've said a couple times in this program, Nebraska is certainly better than I expected this year. So it's not going to be heavy-sided one way or the other.
Yeah, that line's been bet up to Georgia Tech -2. I believe Nebraska opened as a slight favorite in most places. So
I sort of lean Nebraska at that number, but I just am not confident. This is their first top 100 game. Nebraska's not. They got to prove it to me first before I ride them against like a power conference team.
Yeah, we all love the mayor Freddie Hoiberg, but Nebraska is not a team I trust at this particular juncture. One more here, Jim. I'll go to you, Jason Schipper. We're going West Coast. Cal, Pepperdine. We talked about this game amongst ourselves last night in our super secretive internal group chat. Pepperdine's been a wagon so far. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And the fact that they're favored by, I believe, is it 5? I'm not sure what the updated number is, but it seems like there's value on Cal here. Jim, are you going to trust your number, or are you going to stay away given how good Pepperdine's been?
I liked Cal early. It's down to 4.5, so I'm not taking it there. I also kind of like the over. Cal has just played a conference game. I think maybe they loosen up a little bit in this one. And Pepperdine loves to run. They love to get out and run. Colby Ross can dictate the pace. So over would be my bigger lean in that one.
I would agree. Before I kick it back to you, Jim, for the rest of the show, I do want to mention Pepperdine is down a couple of key guys. So they are playing shorthanded. That could maybe not bode well for the pace for this one. But
the two guys they're missing, are they both the centers still?
Yeah, both big guys. So I guess that could go both ways, right? They probably help the defense. So without them in the over, it could play well. So that's a good counter. That's a very fair point.
All right, before we get back to Furman Cincinnati, Chad, I see we are 50 likes per the SBR Sports account. Give us a couple more likes. We just scratched your back with some games. Scratch our back right back. It's very easy. Just hit that like button. We totally appreciate it. All right, fine. Let's talk the other team from the crosstown shootout. Furman heading on the road to Cincinnati, who is obviously probably a little bit bummed out by the loss. A tough one at home. Not happy that they have to play Xavier in a year with no crowds. But Furman, on the other hand, potentially one of the best mid-majors in the entire country, a team with a lot of continuity. And this is almost their Super Bowl, guys.
Yep.
Matt, I'm going to kick it to you. I have a bet I like here, so don't give it away. Don't eat my value before I give that out.
I'm going to have to, Jim.
I guess fine. I'm just going to say it then. Furman's my best bet. Furman is my best bet. the current line I'm seeing is 3.5. So Furman plus 3.5 officially locked in.
Yeah, if I had my my Jon Snow coat of men of fur is where I'll be leaning on this one. I can't believe the odds makers have them valued as highly as I do. And we've had Furman, we had Bob Ritchie, their head coach, on our podcast this summer. He gushed about Mr. Bothwell as potential breakout candidate. He's been fantastic. This team is going to carve up, I think, Cincinnati's bigs. They've been playing Chris Vode, who's a 7-footer, like 250-pound, a big dude who's not super quick on the perimeter. With guys like Noah Gurley and Clay Mounts, two inverse forwards that can score inside and out, I think they can pull them away and play, really beat them with small ball. And like I said, Cincinnati just wasn't that impressive against Xavier. I just think this team is good, not great. And Furman is really vying for, I think they have like that special season at-large type of potential, and they'll be hyper-motivated in this one.
I love Furman. They might be my favorite college basketball team in the country. Just everything they do, experienced, talented. They can shoot. Their offense is gorgeous. Yep. And Bob Ritchie, one of our favorite coaches. I was frustrated at the odds makers for the opener on this one. 2.5 was like, you got to be kidding me. How are the odds makers as high on Furman, Matt, like you said, as I am? Now that it's a 3.5, I'm probably taking Furman small. I certainly lean that way. The Paladins are a tough team. I think most people just see the number and think, oh, Cincinnati, definitely going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be the case. Cincinnati, like you said, didn't look very good in the Xavier matchup. But it is worth noting, we have to say the stat. Cincinnati has allowed 2 offensive rebounds in 2 games this year. Their offensive rebounding percentage allowed is under 4%. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's one, unsustainable, but also just kind of an incredible stat. Xavier grabbed 0 offensive rebounds. So, certainly a team that's not just going to be a pushover defensively for Furman to cut up. But Paladins, I think, is the right side in this one. That's where I lean.
These guys hit my main points for why it's my best bet. The other thing I'll add is Cincinnati was also not impressive against Lipscomb. They won by 12, but that's a shorthanded Lipscomb team, and they were down 9 halfway through the second half.
Miracle comeback, yep.
They had to go 17-2 run to even win that game. So Cincinnati is a little bit shaky early on. Furman, definitely more of a complete team that kind of knows what it is right now. Always lean that way with the matchups early in this weird offseason that we just had. All right. Let's hit the last one on the outline here. Rhode Island heading on the road to Wisconsin. This is a replacement game for what was supposed to be Louisville at Wisconsin as part of the ACC Big Ten Challenge. This is a very interesting stylistic clash. Rhode Island wants to run. They want to get downhill and drive. Wisconsin much more slowed down, structured. To me, the key stat is whether Wisconsin fouls. Rhode Island needs to get to the free throw line to score. They're, I think, top 5 in the country in free throw rate. Wisconsin historically has not fouled. So, Kai, let's talk a little bit of buzz cut basketball. Where do you see this one going? It's a tough scheduling spot for Rhode Island since this game was just announced on Monday.
Yeah, Jim, buzz cut basketball, your favorite style of basketball. Rhode Island's been just about good, or had good efforts in every game they've played this season. Truly an impressive start for them, even though they've lost a few of those games. They've been better than I've expected. This game's not going to have many possessions, I think. I think it's going to be played towards the lower end of the spectrum, with Wisconsin being able to control the pace. Wisconsin's a team that I was certainly very, very high on, still am. But that game they dropped against Marquette was a little concerning. That wild ending was just ridiculous. I can't believe that happened to this day. Where the spread is right now, I have to lean Rhode Island. I just think that's too many points considering where I expect the pace to be played at. But Wisconsin certainly, it could be a juggernaut-type team later on during the season.
Kai, you throw the records out, Wisconsin, Marquette. Yeah. You got to throw it out in that rivalry. Right? Yeah. Right, Matt, what do you got?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add here is Jalen Carey, his status. I'm not sure if we have a confirmation on that. Again, that might be another task for the chat mob. I thought he was really impressive in a few of those, the Mohegan Sun games, which Rhode Island played. Another guard that can help complement Fats Russell and Jeremy Shepard's scoring. Also a very active defender. He fits well in David Cox's, what's been dialed up into a more frenetic defensive scheme. So I'd like to see him play. I'd be more comfortable with Rhode Island if he makes an appearance tonight. But without him and going to Wisconsin, a team that usually dictates the tempo to their pace, to be honest, I'd probably steer clear of Rhode Island. Unless Carey plays. If Carey plays, I think the price actually might have some value for the Rams.
Got it. Rhode Island is 4-1 against the spread, covering by an average of 6.6 points a game. So they've been pretty solid early on. All right, let's get to our picks of the day. and then we'll get back to some more chat questions. Matt, we'll go to you first. Who are you riding as the best bet of the day for you?
Well, it's going to be in response to a few chat mob questions on Charleston Marshall. This is where my best bet lies. I see the number at 5. Marshall up to 5 right now. Please hold me accountable there. That's just too much. I think Charleston Marshall these teams to me feel basically inseparable. It feels more like a pick'em type game to me. Charleston just got Galloway back last game. I believe he was out to start the year with an illness. So getting him back second, third game, he should get into a groove. Super important player, all conference caliber player. Marshall looked great this year. It's a defensive-minded Marshall team, which is kind of backwards for you. You think a Dan D'Antoni team would be more offense only, defense optional. But Marshall's got some athletes this year, so they're definitely improved. I just think 5.5 is too much, so I'm taking Charlie in the points.
Yeah, 5.5 is what I'm seeing. So you get that hook.
Well, hook, good. I'll take it.
Let's go to you for your best bet. And unless you have thoughts on Charleston Marshall, but otherwise, let's hear where you're leaning for the best bet of the day.
Yeah, I think Matt made a good selection, lean his way. Southern Utah is where I'm going for my best bet. -3 is where I had it. -3.5, I believe, is the current line. I'll still take that. Orem is about 220 miles north of Cedar City. That's where Southern Utah is heading to play Utah Valley. The Thunderbirds, maybe not everyone's too familiar with them this year. They have a lot of talent under Todd Simon. John Knight leads the way. He used to play for Utah State. They also have Tavian Jones, a former Illinois well-regarded recruit that's been a big piece for them so far. They've just been impressive this year, the T-Birds. You know, two impressive wins against Montana, albeit they probably shouldn't have won those games or even covered. And really against Loyola Marymount, their first game of the season. Whereas you had Utah Valley, a team that got blown out by BYU. They have 2 wins over non-D1 teams, kind of unproven. One of their best guards might be out in this game in Jordan Brinson. I think he's questionable. It's going to be a high-possession game. I think SUU can sort of run away from them. And most importantly, guys, I just don't trust Mark Sexy Dance Moves Matson very much.
And Utah Valley could also be without Georgia Tech big man Evan Cole, who has yet to debut. I think he's also a toss-up to play in this one. So Utah Valley a little bit shorthanded. My only nervousness with that is Southern Utah's off the 2 big wins against Montana in conference to kick that off. I would say they might have a hard time getting up for this one, but it's an in-state rivalry. I do think that matters, so they're not going to sleepwalk through this. All right, Matt, should we head back to the chat and finish things out here?
Let's do it. First off, we have Porter Moser. It's actually Moser Porter, but I can only assume it's a burner account. So we thank you, Porter, for tuning into our program. He wants a local game take tonight. Northwestern versus Pitt. Wants to know how his crosstown Wildcats are going to look this year, but. I actually leaned Pitt initially. I think Northwestern's been a little bit inflated by running out 2 bad teams to start the year. Kind of like we talked about NC State and Maryland, these teams that now have maybe, outpaced their KenPom or analytic projections with running out bad teams. Their price gets a little overinflated, sets up for a good fade spot. Kyle, go to you. Do you think the Panthers have some value, or is this a stay away for you?
I love the value at the opener. I think it was over 5. I was actually very surprised. Down to 3-ish, I think. I'd still take Pitt. I think that's the way I'm going to lean in this one. However, concerning that Jason Capel basically came out and said he wants to delay the season. Jeff Capel, excuse me. His brother's Jason. Jeff Capel basically came out and said he wanted to delay the season. Doesn't seem like he's very confident in his team. So that concerns me a little bit. Northwestern might be kind of sneaky good. But I do lean Pitt in this game with the points plus 3-ish, whatever it is right now.
Jeff Capel, not a competitor. You heard it here.
Not a competitor.
Chris Shands, on the other hand, competitor. We can talk about what's going on behind the scenes there maybe on tomorrow's show. But yeah, 2 different ends of the spectrum. So speaking of Northwestern, one of the teams they took to the woodshed was Arkansas Pine Bluff, better known as Arkansas Peanut Butter on this program. Our guy Raymond wants to know, is this another fade Arkansas Peanut Butter spot? Jim, I know you watched this team play against Wisconsin and basically go 0 for 30 to start the game. Are they kind of a crumbling mess right now, or do you think they have value in this spot?
I kind of think they have a little value. I mean, they got absolutely destroyed by SLU. They got destroyed by Wisconsin. They got destroyed by Marquette. Then weirdly, they hung around with Iowa State the whole time.
Yeah, they did.
I'm not very impressed with Arkansas State yet this year. They kind of got crushed at Morehead State. They're just they seem a little underwhelming in the Sun Belt. But I think Pine Bluff can kind of hang around in an in-state matchup here as a double-digit dog. I don't love it. No one ever loves betting Arkansas Pine Bluff, but that would be the side I'd lean to.
Yeah, they play this really goofy zone that sometimes can trip teams up if they're not ready for it. So you might be hoping that you can get like a 6-minute scoring drought from the Red Wolves there, that monster in-state rivalry. Let's go to Luke Beasley's request, Providence TCU. I believe all three of us agree on a side here. Kyle, I'll go to you to kick this off. I know you were a Horned Frog guy against Boomer Sooner. Are you going the other way on this one?
I am going the other way. And TCU, to their credit, man, they've been good this year, considering the pieces they lost last season. Desmond Bain, of course, the big one. They're just good at controlling the game speed. I mean, they play a low possession game every time in the low 60s, and that's been helpful for them to keep games close. Providence, I think, hasn't showed us their true colors quite yet. I think Providence is a better team than what they've shown. Preseason, I really liked them. I've kind of come down a little bit on my liking, but I think this is a game that can finally get back on track. David Duke leads the way. He's a fantastic player. I do like Providence in this game with the points.
Yeah, I like Providence too. I'm just nervous about early season Providence. They never looked that great.
Yep, last season, and then they turned into a juggernaut in Big East play, so maybe we see a similar type of trajectory this year. Job Goodmanson, Pac Northwest Special, Seattle versus Washington. Man, Washington, after Naz Carter officially left the team after an early suspension, they've been atrocious, and atrocious might be even being kind. Seattle struggling as well to start, but they got screwed in a late game, end game disaster. For those of you on Seattle against Long Beach, I will pour one out for you. I believe two of my colleagues on this show were on the losing end of that one. I'm sorry. I like Seattle in this one. I know Washington is like, you can't possibly find a better buy low spot, but this team, there's no floor for me with this team. This team can continue to get worse. They have very little offensive. They don't know who they are, right? You read the local stuff. Their identity crisis is very real right now. Seattle's actually decent, and I think there's kind of that crosstown Seattle rivalry where Seattle gets up for this game, and I think they keep it competitive. Jim, what do you think on this one?
The number's been bet way down, so I unfortunately don't see really any value anymore. It's 11.5, 12 at this point. And I saw 15.5 opener at one place, 17 opener at another. So yeah, people know not
Washington
into the Huskies. Yes.
Let's go to Mikey Gatz, and he wants to know Texas Tech versus Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian, is there a bigger cover wagon in the entire country right now? They actually looked vulnerable against Tarleton State for the first 30 minutes. Then they hit the nitrous button, the turbos, and blew them away, as they have pretty much every team they've played this year. Kai, do you have a take on the Texas two-step showdown here?
I'm leaning Abilene Christian. I finally come around, and of course, once I do, I'm sure it'll go the complete opposite way. But Terrence Shannon is a guy who could be out today for Texas Tech. He's important for them. Abilene Christian, doesn't really matter who is out for them because they seem to cover no matter what. Yep. So the spread's high enough to where I'm more comfortable taking Abilene Christian, which, again, I've said a few times in the program, should be a lower possession game. So I'm leaning towards ACU in this game.
One more quick hitter, as Jim dubbed it, the Gabe Watson Bowl. Southern Miss, Tulane. Gabe Watson, basically, former Southern Miss point guard, now on Tulane. Does he get revenge here, Jim, against his old team?
I think Tulane's a little better, but I lean towards Southern Miss. I don't really want to bet Tulane as a favorite right now.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a game that interests me a whole lot. And I think these are two potentially bottom two teams in their conferences, so I'm staying away for the most part.
One more just popped in here. Ryan Abramowitz, SIUE plus 11 versus Valpo. I've been standing for SEMO and SIUE all year. I will be going back to that well again in this matchup. Kind of a tough travel heading back up to the Chicago area after a pretty impressive effort. I believe that was 1 or 2 nights ago. But I'm going to keep riding the Cougars. I think they got something special brewing this year. So
I liked it at 12. I can't do any more.
11.
All right, let's wrap up the show here, fellas. Thank you to the chat. I see we hit 120 likes. That is dynamite.
Beautiful.
You guys are the best. We love interacting with you. We love talking games. I think you can kind of see it on our faces every morning. We love college hoops. So thank you for participating. Check out sportsbookreview.com, sbrpicks.com. They've got write-ups. They've got winners for you there. If you're not sold on us, maybe somebody else on SBR is somebody that you can actually believe in. But we are happy to be here every day, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. We'll be back tomorrow, and we will see you then.